Hello and welcome to episode 43 of the Kicking Back podcast. Today I'm joined by the wonderful Rafaela Nunes. Hello.
Well done for saying my name right.
I got it right. I practiced it a few times in my head before we started just to make sure. Otherwise,
you did really well.
That would have been a very embarrassing start. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Really excited about this.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. I think, your work, you've worked with some people that I know and they've told me wonderful things about you. And I'm excited to hear what you've been doing with people and how you can sort of help people that are our audience,
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
for the people at home that don't know who you are and what it is you do you want to give us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Rafaela. I'm a counselor in Manchester, and I dedicate my practice towards supporting creatives. So from musicians to comedians to fashion designers to I'm just picking up a few that were on my client base either now at present or
Yeah.
before.
Right. Okay. Cool. And how did you get into doing all this? Like, where did the journey begin for you?
Okay, so it wasn't something that I had a clear idea of until I started my counselling training,
Okay.
my counselling studies, and I've been around creatives all of my life. So I grew up in a fashion atelier. So I was around seeing creative processes. It's a little bit in my DNA, although I don't consider myself as a creative in my output, but by osmosis, I'm sure that I absorbed that all of my life.
Yeah.
Seeing, some sketches, fashion sketches being done, and from that, the creation of a garment from beginning to end, from a drawing to the end product.
So how were you involved in that fashion?
My grandma.
Oh, okay, amazing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what did she do then?
She was a teacher. She taught design. She did the most amazing. She was the one who would do the croquis, the fashion design.
Oh, cool. Right. Yeah.
Those really cool, sketch there. Whatever your client has in mind. Oh, you thought at that time, it was very common to go to a tailor, to a fashion designer. Don't know how to put it here. She was a bit of everything, and she taught as well. And she would create from beginning to end, from the drawing to helping the client to pick up the fabric to making the garments. And then she had lots of people working with her.
Right,
And for her, and then the collaborations were there too. Some people were responsible for buttoning, for doing certain things. So I've been around that.
Amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
That's so cool.
And so this is the beginning of how being around creatives and admiring the work of creatives and understanding some of the hardships that comes from being a creative.
Yeah, of course.
Then also through my brother around the performance world. So he started, at school with amateur theatre and so on. And I was always there cheerleading. That's my brother. That's my brother. And I was very proud. And, and I was there present when he was rehearsing lines and doing his thing. And I always supported it. I always thought it was, wow, this is great.
And it was never something that you never found your little creative thing to do when you were younger, I guess?
Anyone who knows me just knows that there's this energy about me.
Right, yeah.
I was never ready to take it anywhere. Dancing, actually.
Oh, okay.
Why am I saying dancing?
What kind of dancing are we talking about?
It's very common in Brazil to, for young people to do these jazz tap. What you see in Strictly Come Dancing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Tap, and I never did tap, but it was a bit of these jazz we used to call it.
Right, okay.
And used to learn choreographies to it. And I also did a few performances with my brother, believe me or not, dancing lambada.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Is that something
Yeah.
you've upkept, or is that something you've left in the past?
Dance is in the blood.
It's in the
Dance is
blood.
in the blood.
Cool.
Yeah. It comes from the, from where I'm from my family. My mum and her sisters, all big dancers, not performing dancers, but renowned in their hometown for their dancing.
Right. Okay.
So yeah. So I guess that there's lots of different areas of creativity, spontaneity in in that energy and output. That I guess that is my creative output. Life is my medium.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
So how did you go from this creative hub of a family that you had? How did you what was the journey from that point to getting towards thinking about doing this sort of counselling and that sort of thing?
Oh my goodness, that is really later on in my life that counselling came.
So what happened in between then? What was going on between that point?
Okay, so in Brazil, I had the opportunity to go to uni, but I decided not to. It was, if I went to uni, so in Brazil, how it works, you do a big exam, and if you pass that exam, that is really, really hard.
Yeah.
You get your uni paid for, like a scholarship.
Right. Okay.
But the exam is mega hard.
Right.
Yeah. Me, nah. And so I also passed to, the exam and a private one, but those are the ones who will take your money. So the exams are much easier. I passed, but then, my dad said, you were paying for it. My parents said, you're paying for it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm not. Don't even want that much. So I started working again in creative environments, a big producing company in Brazil who works with lots of country musicians.
Okay. Right.
Mega huge music kind of preference in Brazil. Countries like it's huge.
So it's
a huge audience for country music.
So Brazilian country music.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I can't even picture what that would sound like.
That is lyrics with a lot of pain for losing your love or describe. Can you imagine? Latin kind of loving, very much that, talking about the heights and the losses of love. That's quite a theme. Not my genre.
Fair.
But not my genre. Some from, my earlier years I can remember, and you can belt out from the, from the top of your lungs because it's just something I grew up with, but it was never what I was into. I was into Brazilian hip hop.
Okay. Right.
I can give you someone actually for you guys to check out.
Yeah, go on. I love this.
I was
People
told
give me
off.
recommendations.
I was told off big time because some of the lyrics had a lot of swearing.
Oh, that's fine.
It's okay. It's okay now. Nobody can tell me off for swearing these days.
We're past that point.
We're past that point now.
Yeah.
He's called Marcelo D2.
Oh God.
MARCELO and then separate D.
Yep.
Two. Number two.
Oh, D2.
Marcelo D2.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So Brazilian hip hop. The earlier stuff, peeps. The earlier stuff. The later stuff became a bit, I don't know, it went another way, but I'm talking the 90s.
This is interesting.
So, that's good Brazilian hip hop.
Okay, I'm going to check that out.
Please do if you like hip hop.
Nice.
So, that's what was happening there. And I always wanted to come to the UK, always, because in my English lessons, my worst subject, by the way.
Was it?
My worst subject. I just couldn't get it. For no love of the money, I just couldn't get it. And so, learning English, we were translating in class. Perhaps my teacher really liked Britpop.
Right.
We're translating lyrics from Richard Ashcroft and Oasis, and so I studied British English. And because we're in South America, the English most spoken in Brazil is American English because they're just above us.
That makes sense.
Exactly. So our culture can be very Americanized, but I always liked the British English and I don't know, don't ask me.
You were just drawn to it.
I was.
Yeah,
I really was. And I always wanted to come, and the opportunity presented itself, and then I ended up here.
Right.
In the early 2000, mid 2000.
And what were you doing when you came over here? What were you doing then?
Then it's a typical, it's my story as well, so I'm not undermining that, but the typical immigrant, you know, quite harsh at times.
Yeah.
The brushes with visas and immigration, something that is still very relevant, more than ever, with Brexit. And yeah, the beginning here was
difficult.
Was difficult.
Yeah.
And I didn't leave Brazil because of hardships, because I want a better life.
Yeah.
Very much the opposite. I had quite a privileged life there.
Mm.
And then I came, and my beginnings here were, colored by, you know, quite a lot of hardships, the experience of domestic abuse, have lived experience of, but overcame these things.
Yeah.
Often we therapists do have some hardships that we learn to overcome,
of course,
and get that drive to, okay, this can happen.
Yeah. Amazing. So then, so you come to the UK.
Yeah.
Your hardships.
Oh, and had got married, had babiges.
Oh, okay.
You know.
So there's some happiness.
Oh, lots of happiness.
Oh,
Yeah, lots of happiness.
I was getting worried for you there, didn't I?
One thing, if you know me,
yeah.
one thing that you will know about me is that no matter how hard, how tough things get, you will see me smiling every single day. Yeah. Not all the time, but I will find something to smile about, something to laugh about.
Good.
It's just how I'm made up.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to live your life.
It's inbuilt resilience. It's like,
yeah.
You gotta find something that keeps you going.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, I have some fucking terrible days, and there is always something that you can just draw out of. It takes you out of the moment, and you're like, oh,
yeah, exactly.
Nice. You know?
Be in the present with something else.
Definitely, yeah. And then as soon as you come back to whatever that poisonous thing was, you kind of, most of the time you realise how ridiculous it was. Like, but the mind is a powerful thing.
Yeah, it's a very powerful thing.
We get drawn into these things.
Yeah.
So you come to the UK. How do we get into the counselling?
Yeah, so lots of menial jobs and waiting on, and then once visas were sorted out, and that took a long time, then I got a job at a bank, because you asked before about my time in the financial sector. 10 years working for a bank. Interesting.
In a good way?
Interesting. Of course, in a good way. Everything that we do, every work that we do will inform of something in your future.
Definitely.
Right?
We're learning things.
Even if the learning is very much categorically something you don't want for you.
Yeah.
And that's a big learning in itself.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was an opportunity, when I was waiting on. And I thought, okay, I can. Got stuck in my trousers. And it was. I lived in a fairly small place in the UK, and there was only so much to choose from. And my main focus was children and so on. So we had to fit in with that. It was an interesting time. I was there when we had the crash of 2008. And everything, and at a certain point, I could do what I do best, being with people, listening to people, helping people, but with their finances. And then if I felt, no, we can't do anything here, then we just stayed with the human relation, the connection, and clients used to love and chat.
Yeah.
But, if there was a sale to be made, then I was committed to only do it if it was, so I already had these very, ethical, because you are very pressed
Right.
to do things. No, oh, you need to missell. You'll never hear that. But the pressure is so great that you will feel coerced
Okay.
to missell,
Yeah.
to act unlawfully at times. Yeah. The risk that industry really has the
push.
that pressure of targets and so on. So yeah, by the end of my time at the bank, it was very clear. When you are very restless and something needs to change here. This is not for me. This is not for me. And I went to hypnotherapy.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay.
A fantastic hypnotherapist who was a student at the time, was a friend. And I had a session. And after the session, he was like, okay, just relax. It's not like things will just come. It's here right now.
Yeah.
Just trust the process and things will come. And we spoke a little bit about, what would you want to do? I like the aspects that I like of what I'm doing is being with people, is helping people. And I guess that set the tone after, the universe heard and 4 months later, I was like, of course.
It makes sense.
Help people.
Yeah.
Support people.
Amazing.
Therapy.
Yeah.
Counselling.
Brilliant.
So that's how it came about.
Cool.
And then I started studying part-time because, again, work and family and so on. But then within perhaps the last year of my, the beginning of last year, when we were starting to go for placements and consider placements, we spoke about what, who you would like to be supporting, what kind of, people work with children, with young people, with the elderly, with, you find your niche.
Yeah.
You have the approach that you learn. Yeah, the school of thought, they will inform your practice. And you have, something that really close to you. You might want to work with people in crisis or rape crisis or that kind of thing. You find, and for me, it was a while mulling over because nothing quite felt right. And that's when LGBT Foundation came about, getting a placement at LGBT Foundation.
Okay.
I did have a placement before in a women's shelter.
Yeah.
But LGBT Foundation was, I've been around again. I'm an ally. I have lots of friends who are part of the LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah.
And it was, I could do this work. Yeah.
So what sort of things were you doing within that community then, within the group?
LGBT Foundation. I support people who are transitioning. I supported people who knew they were trans but couldn't, tried to come out but were having that pressure from family, or didn't feel completely safe to come out. I supported a lot of immigrants, a lot of asylum seekers who fled their countries because of persecution over their sexual preference. In some countries against the law.
Yeah, of course.
So I support a lot of people that were heavily traumatized by their experience in their own country. Even tortured, people who, it's really awful.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is to be there with someone who has experienced all of these awful, gut-wrenching things and be able to bring a little bit of something other, some hope within, this new life.
Yeah. What an amazing thing to be able to do, to be able to help people in that sort of way.
Yeah.
I think it's great that it's funny, people are drawn to a certain type of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do what you do, but I'm drawn to like. I mean, in the same way, I enjoy arts and creativity, and like I want to give people a lift, and I've
Mm-hmm.
always been drawn towards that from sort of day one. And I always wonder, like, what is the thing that makes us go towards these certain paths? Is it a thing of like nurture? Is it nature? Is it, you know? Do you have any insight on that? Do you think you were always meant to be doing this sort of work?
Yes,
Yeah, you feel,
definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
couldn't see yourself doing anything else.
If I look back,
Yeah,
I can see many strands of what I do now in my life
right.
from a very young age.
Mm,
Being that listener, being and not always just being the listener, but having really good friends that were there for me too.
right.
So experiencing that both ways. I'm not a helpless savior, and I believe that it's really important to, you know, when you work with that and you are holding other people's emotional difficulties, it's really
Mm,
important to look after yourself and your own, so you're not carrying everything all
yeah.
of the time
Mm,
and feel heavy.
of
I
course.
like feeling light.
How do you deal with that? What's your process in terms of decompressing after a day and sort of, you know, because you're dealing
Mm.
with some really heavy shit,
Yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, 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 absolutely. This is one of the strategies actually that I talk to a lot of my clients about. Um, being really present. We're talking about this before
Yeah,
we were live. Being really present, you know, giving yourself the chance, giving yourself time through the day. So when I organize my diary,
yeah,
it's really important. I can't just have one client after the other and not have time in between.
right, okay.
I need to be really good. And when I say really good, not for anybody else's standards, but for me, I need to give myself time to, okay, this is that session. We've done that. And we got to park here now until next week.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I distance myself. That's now my client can go
Hmm.
and take that with them or leave it here.
Yeah,
What was really heavy.
yeah.
And then that's it. And then have a little time. I also work in a building where it's quite a community. So go and have a little stretch. I work beside a canal, so go and have a little
Oh,
walk.
nice.
Having that little time in between, and if it is that, you know, I have 2 or 3 clients, that's the maximum, and then I have a big chunk of time.
Yeah.
So I'm always putting time in between that I can look after myself in some way.
Yeah. And obviously, you know, you need to, if you're not looking after yourself, you're not giving them the best version of
You're
yourself.
not present
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
because your stuff, your shit, it's coming in
Yeah,
when it's
yeah.
time for them to deal with their shit, and
Yeah,
you are
yeah.
there to hold that, to help them
Mm.
with that, to support them with that.
Makes a lot
Yeah,
of sense. Makes a lot
yeah,
of sense.
yeah.
So your do you want to tell us a little bit about your business? I guess threadUp.
threadUp, yeah,
Tell
yeah.
us tell us all about that.
All about threadUp. threadUp. So when I started, so the first placement I did was the LGBT Foundation, but at that time I came across, that was it. That was quite decisive when then suddenly, okay, I want to work with creatives. So I had a
Mm.
client, LGBT Foundation, who I was supporting, and they weren't bringing anything about that creativity. Yeah,
Okay.
they were, there was quite a lot of trauma, and I was supporting this client with that. And then the anxiety, the flashbacks started subsiding.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
through the work and supporting and talking through listening, but also, you know, talking through tailoring strategies that worked for them. I heard from this client that, do you know what? I cleared my spare room, which has all of my sewing, textiles, and it was only then that I learned they were massive creative.
Yeah, of course.
And they've been blocked
Yeah.
for years.
Right.
And through dealing with that part of their mental health that took hold and overpowered everything else, that was not even, they weren't connecting with it at all.
Okay. That's
And then
interesting.
suddenly they started connecting with it again and feeling great about it, and really flourishing
Right.
through connecting with something that was so natural to them. And that was, to me, that was, wow, okay, if we look after the mental health really well and we help to minimize, the effect, the impact by really looking after oneself, by really attending to their needs, the creative channels will open.
Okay.
And that was a bit of another okay.
A moment.
A
big moment, yeah.
I can do this, what I'm studying, what I'm training to do. We're creatives.
Yeah. Amazing. So then, So
threadUp, you asked me about threadUp.
Yeah.
Okay. So threadUp, the name threadUp. So people, what do you do? Is it, before I know what I do, is that to do with, sewing or, and I'm like, well, actually, as you say that, okay. When I explain, threadUp came about. So I'm going to go back right to the beginnings.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
In, with my grandma, the sewing, the observing everybody in these bustling atelier. Have you ever, a singer machine? The sewing machine, sewing machine.
Yeah.
Some really hipster coffee shops have that as tables. Do you know what I mean? Underneath.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Have you any idea how many loops it takes to thread the thread through that machine to get to the needle? It's an art form in itself to thread that machine.
Is it, and you manually thread it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when I was thinking about, because I'm a very conceptual worker, when I was thinking about the concept and, how I wanted to present this, supporting creatives, threadUp came about because, threading a machine reminded me of you going through life. This is you threading through all of the different paths and processes and ways of being and things that go wrong. If you thread one thing wrong, one wrong for you, that's not aligned with you, the whole thing won't work.
Okay. Yeah. I like this analogy.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
This is good.
And then I said, right, thread. And then the up came with up, elevating.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, it was a cool domain that was available. I'm like, well, this is coming together. This is serendipitous or what? So threadUp. And threadUp is a counselling practice where I support creatives, but at the moment, not exclusively. So lots of people read my my bio on my website and like the sound of the way that I work. I make very clear that my what I love to do and my passion, it is to support people, but creatives especially.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but I have other in my client base, other clients other than creatives.
Cool.
Well.
And when you say the way that you work, how would you describe your approach with this sort of thing?
Okay, so it's very relational. The approach that I was trained on is psychodynamic, which we were laughing a bit about the big words before. It's just a big word. It derives from Freudian theories.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there is an emphasis on the learning from your history. Right. And how that affects your present. Yeah. So it can be quite an intricate work, because to do that work, principally if the client has experienced trauma, It's really important for me to respect my client's pace. It's
Okay.
never my agenda.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I
Yeah.
really need to support my client to find ways of expressing that feel safe. So we take quite a while building trust,
Yeah. Of course.
and making them feel really reassured in the space that I offer, whether it's in my practice, whether it's online, whether it's over the phone, and soon enough, walk and talk sessions as well.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Because we all love being in a bit of free and green
Of
and
course.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my approach is very much one, compassion is vital,
Yeah.
is the foundations. Compassion, attending to one's needs. That is foundation stuff, and we can build. And through that, because doing this work can be really difficult sometimes, talking about certain things that happen to you, but also identifying things about yourself you don't like.
Yeah.
That can be really, really, I don't like that part of me, please. And then shame comes
Yeah.
up, and it's
Right.
like, yeah, if you don't have compassion, then you are coming from a space of shame all of the time.
Right.
When you are identifying things that you want to change or that you don't like or keep repeating and
Yeah.
nobody gets motivated to change or to learn or to move forward from shame.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Good.
Right. I think we'll have some music now,
Okay.
and then we'll chat a little
Marcelo
bit more.
D2.
I wish it was him. We have the wonderful Jonathan Haycock performing some music for us now. I really hope you enjoy his music on the Cora. It's a beautiful sounding instrument.
It
isn't
is. You showed me before. Yeah.
It's very,
great.
very nice. So enjoy Jonathan's performance, and then we'll be back talking with Rafeala. Nearly said it wrong again.
No,
I
you did
didn't.
great.
It's
Did
fine.
great.
We'll be back with Rafeala in a little bit to talk about some more common themes with issues with creatives and all that sort of thing. So enjoy the music, and we'll be back in a second. Goodbye.
My name's John Haycock. That's at John Haycock Music for Instagram, Facebook, and all of the socials. I've just released a debut on EP, which is available on vinyl from Bandcamp, and it's available on all streaming services as well.
Hello and welcome back to episode 43 of the Kicking Back podcast. You have just heard some delightful music from our guest, our musical guest today, John Haycock, playing that wonderful choral music. Very delightful stuff.
It was. The instrument is great. Reminds me a little bit of the Brazilian berimbau that they play in the
what is a
capoeira.
Berimbau.
It's a ball,
right?
a stick and a string, and you play that string.
Oh.
In the capoeira circle.
Do you want to pull that up, James? I'm interested to know what that looks like, actually.
Berimbau.
How do you spell that?
Berimbau. Berimbau.
Berimbau. Oh,
There we
that
are.
was not what I thought it would look like, you know. That's interesting.
The core is different, but it just reminded me,
It's
you know,
a
with the
similar-
round.
Yeah, and then the...
And that one string's played.
Right. That's cool. And do they bend the stick or anything to like change the pitch, or is it just the one? Like, this is just the one string?
You are going to have to ask a berimbau player.
I guess. I think that's got to be our next podcast guest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a very colourful one there. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Right. I'll have to check that out. Nice. So, let's crack on with talking about the threadUp thing.
Okay.
So, obviously, your focus is mainly working with creatives.
Yeah, supporting creatives' mental health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I kind of wanted to ask you about what are like the common themes and things that you're seeing with your clients, sort of on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm. The common themes usually can be around self-care.
Right.
Because when you are, you know, creatives, when they're freelancing, when they're working in different projects, devising a schedule, having somewhere to be, if you don't have somewhere to be, and then, you know, creating from your house or wherever you do, can be quite difficult to schedule in. It can become all a bit enmeshed. What is your own time and what is creation time? Some of my clients find really difficult to tear themselves away from the creative process and sit down and just do it because they may feel they're not being productive.
Oh my God, literally everything that you just said there is like, that's me. That's me. Entirely.
So if I'm sat here pushing myself to do this, and part of that may be really extremely enjoyable. And then you can go to the, I'm tired, but I still need to be creating.
Yeah.
And not attending to your needs.
Okay.
So that's quite a big theme.
Yeah.
Over the pandemic, physical space, that became such a tangible theme.
Right. Okay.
Creating a physical space. And sometimes for people who are already working at home and are spending a lot of time at home doing what they do, writing music, writing a show, it wasn't very different. But when you had to be grounded, like you are grounded, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
How do you then transform your space, your physical space, somewhere where you can have space for, you know, to create, space to rest, space to relax, all in one.
In one place.
That over, you know, through the pandemic has been very challenging. Identity, comparisons.
Yeah.
Am I, so this is in front of me, am I this? No, I'm this. Am I as good as that? Am I, you know, comparisons are quite a big thing. Digital dependency.
Oh.
As creatives, many creatives showcase their stuff online.
Yeah.
Through different platforms. When to remove yourself from it? When is it too much? When is it, okay, this is my work? How do you separate? And how do you look after your mental health through really noticing the points where you cross the line over, okay, I'm showcasing my stuff, I'm researching a little bit, it's nice to know what is going on around, I want to be informed, and it's great to support other artists too. But when does it go into, I'm not as good as this?
Right, yeah.
I'm not doing as much as them. And that's unhelpful.
Definitely.
But it's really pervasive because it can be quite subtle.
Mm.
So counteracting this, managing this is a lot about, and this is what I really love doing with my clients in my practice, is that we really tune in very early on in the work, asking this question: what do I need right now?
Okay.
What am I feeling right now? And you would be surprised how many people find that really, really hard to tune into.
I don't even think I could answer that question right now, to be fair.
People think it's something very, what do I need right now?
Yeah.
A trip to... No, it's as basic and simple. A cup of tea.
Right.
I need to go get fresh air. 2 seconds, 2 minutes. I need to have a break from this. Clearly I'm not, it's not flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. And actually, this is how I support my clients, to start with the very simple, immediate needs. Yeah, from eating to exercising to connecting with friends to having a break from work, to socializing a little, breaking your day with something for you because you've been working hard or whatever.
Yeah.
Little things. And that can really inform the big things after.
Okay.
Because it becomes a practice of attending to what one needs.
And I guess I'm terrible for this in terms of like the building a routine. I find that really difficult, especially when every day is different. And you're trying to squeeze things in because I've got this in the evening, next morning I'm doing that, and it is hard. It's hard. What tips would you give for someone that has that sort of lifestyle that is very higgledy-piggledy all over the shop? Are there simple things that someone could do just to organise that a bit better?
Yeah, absolutely. What do you respond? And this is why attending to what you need and listening to the answer is really important, because then whatever the answer is, you know what you have to factor in your busy day.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And
that
then
makes sense.
you start building your routine.
Okay.
So I have a recording in the morning, and then I'm gonna have to pop out for collect something at this time. Then I come back to the studio. Where is your lunch? Where is your rest time? Where is people? And I find that a lot with my clients is just squeezing and squeezing and squeezing and squeezing stuff in. And sometimes asking out of your day something that is no. That is not very kind. That is not sometimes realistic.
Yeah.
It's going to burn you out. That is a busy day. It's okay to have busy days, but really starting to build, if you're going to look at a routine, for instance, I would start with daytime. How do you wake up?
Okay.
Is it jumping out of bed in a bit of a fraught, I need to be somewhere? That is setting the tone, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
That is setting the tone for your day. So little things like just really considering how would I like to wake up? What would I like to do that would make me feel okay about my day? Principally if it's a busy day. And then sometimes it's trial and error, because if you're not doing that now, you're going to have to discover what works for you.
Yeah, definitely.
We were talking a little bit about this before, weren't we? About there's lots of advice out there. But how about if the advice is not aligned with you?
Yeah.
It doesn't work for you. You're not going to do it. So you really need to find, and how do you find it? Tuning in to what you need.
It seems so simple, doesn't it? And often it is the simple things that work, but we skip past these things, or like, that's not important.
Yeah.
Why is it important for me to have a cup of tea at this time? Or do you know what I mean? It's so easy to do. I do it myself. I've kind of got myself into more of a good routine now. Like first thing in the morning, it's like wake up, exercise, have a shower, half an hour meditation, start my day. And it's like you're saying, it's like then the rest of the day is reflected in that sort of calmness, that sort of
In that
ability
light.
to. Yeah, exactly.
That you created.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I'm way more. I don't know. I'm better at what I do now. I'm more attentive at listening to people
Yeah.
on the podcast. I'm more attentive towards my work. It does work.
More present.
More present, and my mind's not filled with a million and one things.
And when it is, because that happens if we have a particularly busy time, and there are the normal stresses. It's okay to be a bit stressed. It's okay. There are the normal stresses of daily life. There are the curved balls that life throws, and you had a plan, or you had, and they'll interfere with the routine. So it's really important to be. That's when the kindness and the compassion and being flexible with yourself, with your time. Okay, that was the plan, but this happened. So, okay. Then we do what we need to do. This is a busy day. I'm not going to have much time here.
Yeah.
But I'm going to factor that in the end of my day. And I'm not going to schedule in such an early morning after having a really busy day.
Yeah.
It's just this factoring in.
Yeah.
Time for yourself, doing whatever that you need where there's a bit of rest, a bit of time to read, if that's your thing, a little bit of time. We're talking before about creative hobbies.
Yeah.
Something that you do that's not your work, but it's something that you really enjoy doing and take your mind off things. But when we do have things rushing through our mind, what do we do then? And it's really hard to break away. Some of my clients can't meditate, can't, reach the point of emptying or really getting themselves there.
Yeah.
I usually talk about, breathing techniques, and we do it together in the practice. I like the 5-3-7 a lot. So it's breathing in for 5, holding for 3, and exhaling for 7.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I ask my clients, usually, some people find that, that's not my flow. So then I ask them to find their flow. So it might be inhaling for 4, holding for 1, exhaling for 6. And when you find your flow, I hear from my clients that instantly feels, that feels good. That's me.
Right. Okay.
That's
Interesting.
my pattern of breathing.
Yeah.
And I pass that on to them a lot. This is you. This is your flow. And your flow might be different in different days. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But you are tending to what you need. You're tending to connecting through your breathing can be quite a gateway to connecting with your body.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And giving the mind a break.
I'm a big believer in that. Definitely.
Yeah.
Just to bring you down. But that's what, when I'm meditating, that's the main focus of it.
Yeah.
And also just looking at how ridiculous my mind is, well, and laughing at it, because it just comes in with these. It's always about work for me. It's always about work. It just comes in with these little things. I'm just like, as soon as I can bring myself down out of the clouds and sort of level myself, grounding, and then it comes in with something. It's hilarious. I literally find myself laughing. I'm like, this is what I equate it to being a 5-year-old child in my head, or at least my voice in my head is a 5-year-old child.
Your young self, but that's a young part of you.
Yeah,
and we all have it.
Definitely, yeah.
We carry it with us. We have those young parts. This is a lot of about the work that I do. I work with parts a lot. That helps my clients to be a bit more compassionate. You remember when I spoke about, through the work of bringing things to awareness, things that you do, how you respond to stressful situations, behaviors that you display, and sometimes you don't quite understand why you keep repeating them, even though you don't like it. That can be quite difficult to discover.
Yeah, of course.
And, manage that and hold that, but working with the idea of parts, that's a part of you. That's not the whole of you.
Yeah, that's it. And that was my big realization it's like realizing that, because I thought for so long in my life, 20 years of my life, that this thing in my head was me. And as soon as I realized it wasn't, I was like, oh. It's not that bad, actually. Do you know what I
It
mean?
crops up, but it's not the whole of me.
No, definitely not. And you know, it's a very alluring and influencing voice, and we all get taken away by it from time to time.
Because
but
no doubt from your developmental years, your
Yeah.
younger years, and
Yeah.
we develop beliefs and ways of being
Mhm.
informed by what's going on when we're developing.
yeah,
And then we'll respond in those same ways as adults.
Yeah.
So part of the work that I do is supporting my clients to first realize what is going on, how they developed, how their attachments, how they develop attaching to people and to things, and why, what are the beliefs around it, what do they mean
yeah,
to them, and then gently and compassionately, okay, that's mine, that's not mine, that can go where it belongs,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I can stay with my stuff and work on my stuff.
yeah. So the physical space thing I thought was
Yes.
interesting as well.
Yes.
Now, is that merely so that you can have a place to do something, and again, it's like that separation from your work? What would you suggest to someone that maybe doesn't have
A lot of
access?
space.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
what are
yeah.
things that someone could do with that?
Yeah. These checking in and, planting in little bits in your routine, such as your waking up routine. So if you wake up and you roll off your bed and you are straight on the laptop or going straight into work, you haven't had a coffee, you hadn't had a stretcher, okay, what kind of morning is it? How am I doing?
Yeah.
First thing, checking in with yourself. Perhaps getting out of your resting space, your bed, or your room. If you are in the bed set, for instance, and that's all the space that you have, all the more important to connect with what is going on for you. Checking in with yourself. How am I waking up today? Kind of day is it today for me? Yeah. Separating the physical space as well. If you have a desk, do you have a window that you can put, your desk in front of a window, for instance, and that becomes your work area, and then you can't see
the rest of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So lots of clients, a little bit of feng shui there, changing things around,
right,
to be able to break your physical space into spaces of work, spaces of creating, if you have very limited space.
Okay.
But we can go out now. So it's a little bit different, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
You can take yourself
Get
out of that.
there. Yeah.
Exactly. You can take yourself out of that room, out of that. If you're in a bigger house, you can separate spaces to serve different purposes.
Yeah.
So that's my sleeping, my resting space, and making it really nice, making it really lovely. And doesn't mean spending a lot of money at all. You might be having plants growing around you.
I love having plants in my house. It's great.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
That can be a little bit of green that you have around you, little walks. So important to be out there at times.
Yeah.
Taking yourself out. Sometimes that's so hard to do, but it can make every single person I speak to that, I went just for a little bit of time for myself, 10 minutes, and I came back and it was completely different.
Yeah, that's it.
The hard part is getting yourself out of that space.
Yeah.
Whether it's the physical space or the space over here, I have to be doing, I can't stop now. Similarly, if you are on your flow and it's feeling great, and what do I need right now? Do you know, I feel okay. I'll just keep going. That's all right too.
Yeah.
But it's the listening.
And checking in with yourself. I do that all the time. I'm like having a great editing session, and then I'm like, this is good. Keep going. 2 hours, 3 hours, and then it's like I get to 4 or 5 hours, and I'm like, I know I'm feeling crap, but I'm like, what? Because I'm not checked in with myself. I'm still in that sort of work. Okay, if I just get this done, and then next thing it's fucking 7 hours of editing. I'm like, what am I doing? You know, and I feel terrible afterwards. I'm like, just need to, the little pit stops, isn't it? Bring it back to yourself and where you are in that moment.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And it might be another big theme is isolation.
Yeah.
You know, you can do a lot of work on your own.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you need when you're spending a lot of time on your own? It's different for different people.
Yeah.
But is it connecting with others then and giving yourself a break from being alone for such a long time?
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of thing do you want to engage with? Is it going to a coffee shop and not actually talking to anyone, but doing some work from there or reading a book from there? Or is it, you know, picking up the phone, calling a friend, arranging a walk or something that you can do together? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then the social media thing that you touched on before.
Digital dependency.
Digital dependency.
Mm-hmm.
What ways? Because we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it too. We all make comparisons of how well something is doing. If you do a post and no one engages with it, you're like, oh shit, oh fuck, like we all do it.
Well, they're not liking it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are things that we can do to separate ourselves a little bit from that?
Noticing how you're feeling when you're engaging in those behaviors. Noticing if it's about, is it about my work? Is it about finding out what is out there because it's great? You know, there are other people doing really great stuff and I want to be engaged with that and supporting that. And it's inspiring as well. Great. That sounds like a good space, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it, nobody's engaging with my posts. This was shit. Nobody's listening. Nobody likes what I do. I'm not great.
Yeah.
What I do is not valuable. Yeah? Is it that? Yeah. Move away. Step away. So again, coming back to that checking in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is foundation stuff. It needs to be there, you see.
Yeah, of course.
It goes in so many different aspects of our lives and it can really inform how we're going to look after ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's really important to notice and then to have the courage to step away because I hear how hard it is to step away, but I might miss something that is going on. The FOMO.
Oh, yeah.
The FOMO.
Yeah.
You know, I might miss something. It's okay to step away for a bit.
Yeah. You can't catch everything.
No, it's humanly impossible.
Exactly. And we never had to, 20, 30 years ago. We didn't care. Do you know what I mean?
Were you 20, 30 years ago?
I mean, I wasn't technically here 30 years ago. But in terms of there's, because everything's there, isn't it? And we're engaged with, we're told there's a lot more going on.
Yes.
And we feel like we are missing something.
And those little algorithms are just...
Very clever.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Drawing us in.
Yeah.
But listen, people, don't just take my word for gospel. I have been a digital recluse for over a year now for my personal stuff.
Yeah.
And I love it. It gave me an opportunity to connect with people around me in a different way. So instead of knowing what 600 people are doing on a day-to-day from what they are eating and their good and bad news, might be connecting with 30 in a really meaningful way.
Yeah, okay.
And that serves me. But that's it as well. It's about noticing what serves you and what doesn't.
Yeah.
And when you notice what doesn't, having the courage to break away, because that behavior might be what everybody around you is doing, and so there's a lot of expectations in the creative industry.
Yeah, yeah. God, I feel like I need to have a conversation with you after this. So, right, if people want to get in contact with you and work with you, how can people do that?
So they can go to the website, threadup.co.uk. All of my information and the services that I offer are there, including threadUp Free. So over the pandemic, I developed a service that is free to creatives that have been severely impacted by the crisis and have had their finances really affected. I'm really happy to be able to offer that. But obviously, I also need to run a viable business.
Yeah, of course.
So I have one client like that at a time. I started working with another fantastic creative over threadUp Free, and it does make me feel, really happy and proud, really, to lots of what I do, and the new stuff that I do as well that is coming up. threadUp is expanding.
Yeah, you're saying, so it's something to do with Greater Manchester Fringe, is that correct?
That was a pilot.
So that was
the pilot,
Okay.
yes. So threadUp, that started just me, is going to expand to become a community interest company, where my work as a counsellor working with creatives is one strand and the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's going to expand to do what I do on a one-to-one basis to a wider audience in creative festivals. We did a pilot at the Greater Manchester Fringe supporting everyone, not just the performers, everyone, people who work behind the scenes, organisers, promoters, technicians, light, sound, whoever is involved in that festival can then access mental health support.
Amazing.
Some of these festivals and some of these big creative events, the infrastructure is put on months before the event happens.
Yeah.
And by the time the event comes, people are...
like a deer in headlights.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so... we became really good at noticing the audiences being affected by mental health and being there is a service called welfare. This is a known welfare service, but this is for the audiences, not for the creatives putting the magic together. And the work that I'm going to be doing with another two formidable human beings is who are teaming up with me to become the community interest company, are going to be putting these hubs for all of the people who participate and create these festivals and these big creative events.
Amazing.
Yes, so watch this space.
So where can people follow this
All on the
journey?
website.
All on the website.
Like I said, one of the things, so the practicing what I preach.
Of course.
Yeah. So because I notice I can't be all things for all people.
No.
Became really busy with the practice, and the digital side went, by the wayside a bit. And that's probably something I'm going to get somebody to do.
Yeah.
At some point.
Of course.
To focus on the stuff that I'm doing now. There is lots of stuff on Instagram. So threadUp. threadUp _. And the symbol, the logo is, it took us a long time doing that. And Tom, who created it, good on him, because he had to work with me in creating this and I wasn't happy with anything.
Right.
So it's an eye with the colors blue, and there's lots of thread-ups online now with the colors blue and yellow, and that's me.
Okay.
That's threadUp.
Awesome.
So you can find that on Instagram, the website threadup.co.uk, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. When I got the domain, I got all of the channels.
You got all of them.
I got all the channels. And you can even watch a couple of videos that I did ages ago, when everything was just a seedling.
Right, yeah.
Which is my, on YouTube, which is like a little bit, but it's true. It's me, and it's a little bit of, that is there.
Amazing.
So that's coming up. We're expanding.
Exciting.
What I do on a one-to-one basis. So I'm really excited
Cool.
about that.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you guys do. It sounds like exactly what our creative industry needs, I think.
Well, that's it. There are a lot of barriers, and this is what we found. I think that's important to express here.
Yeah.
That's what we found at the Greater Manchester Fringe. The uptake was really low.
Right, okay.
Even though it was free.
Yeah.
So there are really big barriers, and at threadUp, that's what we believe. We believe in transforming, being another voice. I don't believe we're reinventing the wheel, but it is pioneering work.
Yeah.
But really breaking those barriers of accessing mental health support, normalizing the need of mental health support, and just really supporting, being somewhat a little voice that supports this industry to listen, take notice. Because when I started, the idea and the wanting to pilot, Greater Manchester Fringe were amazing. They were straight away, yes, thank you. How many conversations I had that I'm not trained to have about people's mental health. Yes, there's such a great need. And whoever we speak to will say that there's such a great need. But why don't people take it up?
Yeah.
So barriers are there.
That's the barrier.
But we're very much engaged in supporting change.
Brilliant. I do have one more question for you. If you could sum this podcast up in 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
That we're doing here today?
This, what we've done today, yeah.
Fun.
Nice.
Fun.
Okay,
We laughed a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Enjoyable. The music, the chorus. The music was great.
Delightful.
And so, took me back to Brazil and Berimbau. So, nurturing. Yeah, nurturing.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a real pleasure to have you on today, and I wish you the best of luck with
Thank
all
you
your
very
work.
much.
Thank you people at home for watching. I hope that you get something out of this. Please go and follow Rafeala's work at threadUp if you need to speak to her. I'm sure she's there to speak to. Thank you to John Haycock for performing for us today. You can check out his stuff online as well. He's got an EP out at the moment, and John Ellis, who we had on a few weeks ago, they're putting out an album together in the next few weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Stay tuned for the rest of this week, because we've got some other mental health podcasts happening. I think that's kind of it, really. I hope you enjoyed it and got something out of it, and we will see you all in the next episode. Thank you once again.
Thank you. What a pleasure.
And we'll see you all soon. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast to catch up on new episodes every week. Also, check us out on our Facebook and Instagram at Rec Rooms, where you can find out about our other exciting music series. We also have this and all our other episodes of the podcast up on our Rec Rooms YouTube channel for your viewing pleasure. See you next time.